The Axon cable factory in Kecskemét employs 280 people making electronic cables for use in the car industry. But the French group is finding it hard to hold on to its workers.
The biggest difficulties we have in recruitment concern unskilled workers, mainly because neighboring companies are offering higher minimum salaries. But there are also problems with highly skilled employees, such as engineers who speak several languages. There, the difficulty is that they're more likely to leave the country for work abroad.
A labour shortage is affecting all sectors of the Hungarian economy. It's driving wages up, especially with the expansion of industrial parks around the big foreign-owned car factories.
If somebody starts to want to have a production here in Kecskemét, he has to give 10 or 20% more as in the average.
In the long term, Axon's managers say these costs threaten Hungary's competitiveness.
Salaries are lower here in Hungary as in Germany. That's the reason why we are here.
One potential solution seems obvious.
If the available workforce was increased via immigration, then that might make the labor market a bit more flexible and help it stay competitive.
But in Hungary, a pro-immigration stance is politically taboo. The government instead passed a law allowing employers to demand more overtime from their workers and pay for it many months later. Workers were furious and dubbed it the slave law. They took to the streets in protest, including on the industrial estates themselves, such as here in dearth, where Audi has a huge plant.
It's absolutely clear that this new law was primarily designed to please the German companies here and serve the auto industry.
Polls suggest the vast majority of Hungarians, including government supporters, oppose the new law. But workers outside the Audi plant were unwilling to comment. Ákos Molnár says they fear reprisals, so he and his colleagues were all the more impressed by the protest turnout last December.
And this is the Audi workers here, and these are other unions. In December, in dearth, everybody wanted to turn dearth into Paris because of the yellow vests.
Demonstrations have continued this year, mixed in with an ongoing movement against the government's authoritarian drift.
In December, the protests were specifically about the slave law. But nowadays, this is more now. We would like get our democracy back and get our lives back.
These activists managed to block one of the bridges over the Danube, but many worry that the movement is losing steam.
People don't believe in change. They don't believe that it's possible to change the system this way. I think that's the problem.
Opposition parties who held a larger rally later that day are trying to ride the wave of anger generated by the overtime law.
There is a labour shortage, that's for sure, and the government's solution is obviously to have people work more. The point is that people don't really want to work more, but they really need the money that the overwork can get, so they don't have really a lot of options.
No one at this rally advocated bringing in immigrants to provide cheap labour. Yet Prime Minister Viktor Orban persists in claiming that that is exactly their agenda. Just down the hill from the demo, he was making an annual speech to an invited audience.
The Hungarian opposition is an assemblage of pro-immigration politicians, which George Soros and the European bureaucrats are keeping on life support.
Opposing immigration is Viktor Orban's core policy. He could hardly abandon it now. Yet overtime has proved unpopular, so he is pushing another solution.
We do not need mere numbers of people. We need Hungarian children. In our minds, immigration means surrender. So I'm announcing a 7-point family protection action plan, and hereby announce that women who have given birth to and raised a minimum of 4 children will be exempt from the payment of personal income tax for the rest of their lives.
The new measures add to already existing natalist policies, including one that helps couples buy newly built homes if they promise to have at least 3 children. Miriam and her husband got a €31,000 grant towards the purchase of this house. They need to have one more child to keep up their side of the bargain, but she says that was always the plan anyway.
I think that this is really a good opportunity, and anybody who doesn't want Hungary to be weakened, or the Hungarian population to shrink, or the Hungarians to disappear, will surely do anything they can to be certain that doesn't happen.
It's doubtful whether the incentives will be enough to stop the population from falling. And even if they are, it will be some time before the new generation is old enough to work in the auto parts industry.